Nah, I've not got time to do it, so I'll let that just now.
Good evening. Welcome to the Scottish Football Social Club on Premier Sports. The bow tie is going on. Look, it's not one of those little clip-on jobs. He's got the real thing. Michael Stewart up there. We'll hear more about that fancy dinner later, I'm sure, in the programme. It has to be something really special tonight. Anyway, it's been a heck of a weekend, hasn't it? Remarkable last 24 hours as well. We'll get a full reaction from Alan on the eventual departure of Russell Martin, the escort out and all the rest, and indeed on the question of who comes next in Govan. Also, we've got the current King of Gorgie on the show as well. It was never Michael, by the way. It's definitely not Michael, but it was never Michael, the King of Gorgie. The real current King of Gorgie coming on in a few minutes' time. And that means we've got loads to get through in the next hour. So any questions, any points, send them in. As always, Alan and Michael are here to take them. And as I said, a Jambo star from the weekend very much on the way very soon. A nod in the direction of our sponsors. The Scottish Football Social Club is brought to you in association with SBK and Premier Sports. SBK, a betting app that cuts out the nonsense, just straight up sports betting for folk who actually care about the game. Proper odds, no gimmicks. Michael, no gimmicks tonight, wherever you are. What's happening?
Got a wee dinner later on, Darrell. Just made sure I could fit in what was obviously a pretty busy show tonight. There's a few things happening.
Hey,
yes.
just a couple. Does the missus know you're there? She does.
Fortunately, yes. Fortunately, yeah.
Good. Al, how are you feeling tonight? Is there a bit of relief, mate, that it's all over?
I think so. I think we were just waiting for that to hear that it eventually happened. It's done now. Well, I did feel for him towards the end. It looked like he was walking around with the world on his shoulders, but unfortunately, that's because the team weren't playing the way they have to for him to stay in a job. So ultimately it happened.
Yep, lots more to come. Michael, come Saturday night, was the maroon blood flowing through your veins, or was that the red wine as it normally does on a Saturday night?
Well, I'd like to think everybody's got maroon blood thrown through their veins. Otherwise, they're in a wee bit of trouble, to be perfectly honest.
True.
It was a good end to the game, that's for sure. Not the best game, but a good end, full of drama.
Yes. Absolutely. We'll come to that. Right. Should we just work our way through the action then? Let's get into the Saturday games first before we have the special guest joining us. We'll say more about that in a few minutes. But let's begin then. Dundee United against Livingston. A draw in the end. I think a few signs that Dundee United maybe suffering a bit of fatigue. Played a lot of games this season now, maybe slightly gone off the boil. But the way they responded in the second half in this game was good to get something out of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. I don't think Jim Goodwin's been totally happy recently, especially the way they've been conceding goals and individual errors, little bits of mistakes here and there creeping in. And yeah, they have played a lot of football and they've done really well, to be fair. But I just felt that first half probably let them down. Again, Esslink out wide, making a mistake, a back pass as we're just about to see it. Look, the win, I don't think helped anybody, but you can still pass a ball back to your keeper. You need to do better. And Pittman, he's done this for a number of seasons now, just timing his run into the box and scoring a good goal. And then they get back into it. I thought in the second half, Dundee United were much better and looked like a team that would go on to eventually win the game. They didn't. It's a draw and they'll move on. But you can still tell that Jim Goodwin wasn't totally happy with that first 45 minutes. But at least he got a reaction in the second half and still came out with a point.
Knowing Jim, Michael, I think there might have been some very harsh, strong, or maybe just some home truths told at halftime, actually.
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, on the back of obviously the defeat the week before against Killie, where obviously he was far from pleased. Looking at the first half performance, he would have, he made changes, early on. So I think that speaks volumes as to frustration, from what he was seeing, and recognising that they needed to sort of avert what was looking like potentially drifting towards another defeat, which would have really put a sort of dampener on what's been a fairly bright start for them.
It was so positive after the game against Aberdeen. It wasn't long ago, Michael.
No, I know, but I mean, look, I think that just highlights how how tight it is for a lot of the clubs in the division. That if you just take the edge off the game, off their performance, then it makes a huge difference. I mean, think back. I know obviously you're talking about the Aberdeen game, which was not long ago, but if you also think about the performance at Easter Road, where they were very good, ultimately it was a draw, but they're especially as an attacking force, they looked really, really threatening. So I think you're right. There's been a lot of games at the start of the campaign for Dundee United. They're suffering a lot of injuries. They're still carrying a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll be hoping that the other end of the international break, they'll be able to get some of those guys back.
Yeah. A decent point for Livy, though. Maybe with the way they started the game, they'd feel, Alan, that they could have maybe taken more out of the game, but not a bad point in the road, that at all.
Yeah, I think so. Especially when you're away from home. It's a difficult place to go. I know the conditions were the same for everybody up and down the country, so it was harder. So I think David Martindale will come out of there thinking, right, it's a good point. We move on to the next one, but you're still starting to kind of look over your shoulder, aren't you? I mean, it's been okay so far, but I think when you're on top, you really need to put your foot to the floor and try and get the 3 points. But they're playing against a good team. I mean, as Mikey rightly said there, they've had some real good performances, especially that I think they're quite strong at the back now. With some people still to come back, the attacking force that they've got, they'll be a problem for a lot of teams this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, on to Killie St Mirren. We had Stewart Kettlewell, Alan. Yeah, we had him on the show last weekend. On a brilliant result for Killie at the weekend. And actually, and I don't say this lightly, but they made St Mirren look quite average at times in the game.
Absolutely.
And we know the Saints are not an average team, but I think that tells you just how well Killie played, and maybe the fact the Saints were slightly below par for themselves.
They've done to St Mirren what St Mirren normally do to other teams. I think defensively looked really strong. I mean, back-to-back 2-0 victories, clean sheets. And I just felt they just jumped all over them at any moment in time and then got the ball forward really quickly. And Bruce Anderson has been playing really well recently. He links up, he gets up there in front, and you just see there, he wants to get shots on target. And then if you follow it up like Watson does, he's going to score goals. And this is just a brilliant cross into a dangerous area. And a big man's always going to get his head on that. Nearly takes the net off. It was a really good finish. But I just think in general, just the performance, you can see the confidence that they've got. And it's not about getting the ball just forward into an area. They're actually playing it with precision to go on the attack and on the offensive. So I thought it was another really good performance, something for them to build on. And probably the international breaks came at a wrong time for them. They want to just keep that momentum going, but another great performance.
Revenge as well for the cup quarter-final defeat. But yes, Michael, that handball, I don't know what to think anymore.
No, it's not for me.
Do you know, I'm probably on the fence with it, but I'm very surprised that it wasn't given, is probably my assessment of it. Because yes, it's close. There's a certain degree of proximity, but
not even looking.
I know, but his arm's out a fair bit. It doesn't look great, but I'm probably on the fence as to whether it should be given or not. But I'm surprised it wasn't. Is probably my thought on it.
I'm only surprised it wasn't because of the penalties we've seen given this season.
Yeah, I know.
To be fair, including the one down at Kilmarnock just a few weeks ago that Stuart Kettlewell was talking about on the show. So I don't know anymore, but I know it's close, proximity and everything else, but the arm's away from the body, and there'll be more on this show that we'll talk about this as we move forward. I'm not sure, Al, what happened to St Mirren on the day, but you could tell Stephen Robinson afterwards was a bit surprised about the way they performed in the game.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you could tell that it was raging with the performance, but they've played to such a high standard, I think, over recent weeks, and we've come to expect a certain way of playing when it comes to St Mirren, that they're very organised at the back. They get the ball forward, and it's not a lump pass. There's something that they're trying to do, and they've got two boys up front that are a constant threat, and they just seemed off it. I know they're missing a couple of players. Maybe that didn't help, but it was just an off weekend, I feel, for them. Look, they'll bounce back from this. I'm positive of it. It's just, it just didn't come together on the day.
No. Right. Onwards to the live Premier Sports bit of action on Saturday. Tea time, Saturday evening. Michael, you two were there. What an end to the Edinburgh Derby for all the Jambos fans and everyone inside that stadium. I mean, I was watching at home and the place was absolutely rocking. What was it like to be there at the end, Michael?
Oh,
was not
I mean,
listening to
you
you.
can imagine it was very, very. It was very, very noisy. Obviously, the home crowd were ecstatic, understandably so. A very dramatic end to the game that was on a knife edge for a lot of it. You know, it wasn't a great game in terms of great football from either side. There was a number of chances for each team, and from Hibs' perspective, they'll obviously be absolutely spewing, feeling a little bit like deja vu from the sort of, it's funny I was talking to a Hibs fan just yesterday about it, and they were saying the ending to that game is exactly why there's an element of trepidation, generally speaking, for Hibs supporters, because in the recent past, talking about the last 20, 30 years, Hearts have had the upper hand. They have, and there's a greater feeling of confidence from Hearts as a club going into derbies, and endings like that only go to sort of really hammer home that point. Having said all that, Hibs are still very strong. They're in a good place, but they do need to start picking up victories to really start to build so they can get challenging at the top of the table where they really could and should be.
Yeah. Listen, wouldn't it be a great night to have the hero on with us, Al, the man that scored the winning goal right at the end? The Hibs fans won't love it, but the Hearts fans will absolutely love this. Craig Halkett, delighted to tell you during an international break, he's taken a bit of time out of his Monday evening. Hopefully he's recovered from yesterday. Anyway, to come on the show. There he is, Craig. Great to see you. Thanks for your time tonight. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm still on a bit of a high. Back in training this morning, just being about all the boys again was good. Just talking about the game on Saturday, and it was just a good time this morning.
I thought the manager. I thought the manager said you were getting a couple of days off.
No, we are. Towards the end of the week, we're still in for a few hard days. You know what it's like in modern day football. You can never get some days off without getting a wee bit of punishment.
How many times did you watch the goal back, or how many times have you relived it in your mind? And did the boys mention it this morning? I'm sure they were all over you.
Yeah, I've watched it quite a few times. I've been setting it hundreds of times with friends and family and stuff like that, with loads of like voiceovers and different music when the goal goes in. But it was brilliant. It was a great moment for me. It was good with the family while they were watching it, and that's a great memory to have.
The goal will come in just a moment. Obviously, a couple of nervy times in the game for you when Martin Boyle's racing through as well. What did you make of the game overall, the balance of play?
I think it's been said, and people have been talking about it. I don't think the game as a spectacle was brilliant. It wasn't one that people are going to talk about for years, well, until I had scored. But if it finished in a 0-0 draw, I don't think there would have been too many arguments. But to be the one to score the last minute winner was... that was brilliant. It's unbelievable. What a feeling.
That top striker there, the movement just in the back post, just waiting for it.
Back to my striker days when I was 14, 15. That's what that.
Hey, what about the kickoffs? What were they about? That's the first time I've ever seen them.
Yeah, we're showing him the goal again first of all. Okay, just so we can keep on looking. We're showing him the goal first of all.
Just on the kickoffs, it's funny actually because it was something that we had spoke about. The day before, or obviously our set piece coach Ross, who works with the players the day before, going through set plays and stuff like that. And I think he had spoke to Cammy and Benny about it, and it was something that we were going to do if we got the kickoff to start the game.
I thought you just done it. I thought you had done it because they done it.
No, you can imagine our surprise when we seen them setting up, and I think Cammy turned around to me before the game started. He was like, "Alex, they're going to do it. We were going to do it." And I was like,
Craig, where have they got that idea from? You guys have to be thinking there's some sort of a mole in the dressing room to allow that to come out. Because that is uncanny.
I know. I'm not actually sure where our set piece coach had seen it, or if he'd seen it before, if it was just something they came up with. But no, for both teams to do it, it was a bit mad. But I think everyone on the side had a wee bit of a laugh about it, and from our point of view, nothing came of it.
And what about these scenes at the end that we're just watching right now, and the impact of the manager too? I mean, you could just tell what this victory of all wins meant to the fans and to the new boss as well, who's just building momentum with you, isn't he?
Yeah, it was the win and the 3 points was absolutely massive. Obviously, I've been at Hearts a long time, so I know how much these games mean to everyone at the club, all the fans. everyone involved. So to get the 3 points was huge, but I think it obviously just adds on to the confidence that everyone's got in the building about how we've started the season. Obviously, it wasn't just another 3 points because it was a derby game, but in the bigger picture, how well we started the season, the run we've been on to keep up that good run, another clean sheet to add on to the last couple of weeks. It's been brilliant. It just it lifts everyone's confidence and keeps it going.
Craig, see for you personally, well, obviously you've had the difficulties of the injuries over the last couple of seasons, but you've been absolutely brilliant this season playing all the games. Have you done anything different? Have you changed anything to make sure you're right for each game that's coming up?
I wouldn't say now that I'm playing them, I've done anything different. I think that the biggest thing for me was the kind of work I put in over the summer. It's been well documented. The last kind of 2-3 years hasn't gone as well as I would hoped it to go. Obviously, I had a big injury when I done my knee, and it's just kind of been up and down, stop-start since then. So I knew finishing off last season, playing the last 4 games, doing well, I knew it was going to be a huge season for myself. So I think in the summer was the biggest change that I made, and I never went on holiday. I kind of just dedicated my summer to getting myself in the best possible shape I could, knowing that there's a new manager coming in. It was going to be a fresh start for everyone. There's a good chance I can go back, do well, and start the season. And thankfully, it's started really well.
What was the regime, if you don't mind me asking? You're talking to a guy who's trying to get healthy again, by the way. What was the regime during the summer? I mean, is it everything from nutrition to the way you trained, the different elements to training, I guess? What did you do that you'd never done before?
I just, like you said, it was a bit of everything: nutrition, gym, just general lifestyle changes. But I got myself in a good routine of, I took maybe 3 or 4 days off after the last game that we'd played. And then I had just said every single day, I'm going to get up at 6:30 in the morning and just go straight to the gym. And it still gave me the rest of the day to have plans with my family or anything else I had planned. So every single day, obviously not for the full 4 weeks. I didn't do 31 days again up at 6:30, but as many as I could, just got up, getting a routine, whether it was running or doing weights in the gym, doing a bit of swimming or whatever it was. I just tried to make sure I did something every single day, and thankfully it's paid off.
In terms of the body, I mean, how are you feeling? You're only a few games into the season. I mean, you look clearly fitter than we've seen you in a long time, Craig. But how is the body? How is it coping and handling it all? Yeah,
it's good now. It's obviously, like you said, I think I've played 11 games now this season, 7 in the league and 4 in the League Cup, and I feel great. I feel as fit as I've ever been. I know I turned 30 last year, or this year, sorry. But it doesn't feel as if I'm 30 in my body. I feel like I missed like 3 years at the tail end of my 20s, and I still feel like I'm kind of just coming into my prime now. So no, the body feels great. I feel healthy every day. I'm doing just what you'd expect to do to keep yourself in good shape, and in touch with, hopefully I'm past my injury troubles.
Craig, I wanted to ask just about psychologically how tough the last few years have been for you, and then obviously how good you're feeling psychologically now. And the other caveat to that slightly is, when you took what looked like a knock at Tannadice, how nervous did you feel? Because you weren't sure whether you were going to come off or stay on, and psychologically, how difficult has that been for you?
Yeah, I think going back to when I done my knee, it was by far the lowest moment I've had in my career. Just, I think that instant knowledge that you're going to be out of the game for the best part of years, it was so hard to take. I had never really had much injury troubles in my career in the past. I mean, when I was at Livingston 3.5 years, I think I played 149 games in a row without missing a game, and I felt great. And obviously, after I'd done my knee, it was tough. But once you get over the fact that you've been out, you work your hardest in the gym. But I think just being out for so long and not getting a consecutive run of games, it's just really hard to get back onto that level where you were at before. So it was tough just coming back, as I think over the 2 years I was out, and then I came back for maybe 4 or 5 games, and then I was out for a few months, came back and played 6 games, and then out for 2 or 3 months again, and it just seemed so stop-start. So psychologically it was tough. There was definitely moments when I just thought, like, I don't think this is going to be for me anymore, because my body's just not recovering. It's not getting back to a place where it needs to be to perform. But thankfully, where I'm at now, I feel great. Obviously, moments like what happened at the weekend help you forget about what you're going through, but it's good just to also remind yourself about what the kind of hard times you've had and how it's all worth it now. But no, I feel great now, and the tackle you were talking about the weekend, it was obviously a quite hard tackle, and I just felt a wee bit of discomfort in my knee, and straight away you're thinking, oh no, like is it going to be all right? But thankfully it ended up fine, and it was just a kind of wee knock, and I woke up the next day and it's nothing too much to worry about.
What about the manager then, Derek McInnes? What's it been like to work with him so far? What are the kind of changes he's made to the club, and how does it feel around training with him there now?
Yeah, it's been great. I think on a personal level, it was someone I was excited about when we heard they got the job. Obviously, I've been involved in Scottish football my full career, and you've seen what he's done at the past, at his previous clubs. He's done well wherever he's been. So the thought of him coming into Hearts and just looking and hoping that he was going to do similar, if not better, than what he's done at his previous club. So when he came in, it was exciting. He's been great about the change room. I think obviously we've got quite a big squad, and he's still kept everyone on side. And like the guys will know, being involved in football, when you've got players that are maybe missing out and not playing every week, it's easy for them to kind of just go away and do their own thing. But it's not been the case at all. He's kept everyone on side. The mood in the camp's really good. He's been great to work for. The Archie and Paul that are in him as well are great guys, and training's good every day. His ideas are good, and obviously everyone can see that it's paying off at the moment.
We had him on the show, by the way, just a couple of weeks ago, and you could just sense the feel-good factor, Craig, at the moment. And you know Tony Bloom's in there too, and you've seen his statements in public. We heard the manager talk about it, but just see inside the dressing room when you have Tony Bloom coming out and saying, here's the aim. There's an opportunity as well. What goes through your mind and some of your teammates?
Yeah, it's good, obviously. I think when he first came out and he spoke out in the league, obviously all the boys together talk about it, watch it and have a bit of a laugh and say, oh, that would be brilliant. But obviously for us, it's easy to just kind of keep your head down and let these sort of people do the talking, and we can just try and perform on the park and win every game every week. But no, it's definitely an exciting time to be at a club like Hearts. We're doing really well now. Manager's come in, everyone's really positive, and everyone's just excited to be there.
Did you go and sort out a good league winning bonus with Tony after that statement?
Not with Tony, but with the sporting director. There's a few of us that were in, or just making sure that if anything was to happen, we'll be sorted out.
He's like a goals bonus now.
I know. Craig, I wanted to ask, obviously, it's the international break. You're at home. There must be aspirations, obviously, to get into the Scotland squad. And you must feel, if you keep yourself fit and performing like this, you've got an opportunity.
Oh, definitely. It's I would be silly to say it's not a dream of mine. I was obviously lucky enough to get a kind of small taste of it a few years ago when I was put into the squad, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it, being about the manager and being about the squad, and just like sharing a pitch with these level of players. It was amazing. And obviously, unfortunately, since then I've had injury troubles, but I'm feeling good just now. But no, it's definitely something that I'm kind of striving towards and aiming towards. Obviously, it's out of my hands, so I can only just keep doing what I'm doing for my club every week and see what it takes me. But no, definitely try to get back involved in that national setup. Something I'd love to do.
You can dream big, though. I mean, I don't just mean national level, because obviously that would be incredible. I think it would say a lot about how far you've come personally in the last 6 months, body and what you're doing in the park as well, to be able to get back into that setup. But you can dream big at Hearts too. I just mentioned Tony Bloom and the manager coming in and where you are in the league table right now. Tell me about the strength of this squad at the moment and how far you genuinely think this can go and they can take you this year. Yeah,
the squad's... Well, I was going to say arguably, but I don't think I think it's probably the best squad that I've been involved in my 7 years at the club. The size of it, the strength of it, I think it says a lot about a team when you can go and make 3, 4, 5 changes and the team's not really getting any weaker with the players that are coming on the pitch. The manager spoke about that as soon as he came in. Obviously, we had a big squad right from the start of pre-season. And he just spoke about during pre-season, during the League Cup, like everyone should be aiming to try and start that Aberdeen game, the first game of the season. And then even past that, every game that we're playing now, he's big on training really well Monday to Friday to make sure you get into that starting 11. And as a player, it's something that you want. You don't really want to be just turning up to your training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, knowing that you can kind of train however you want and you're going to play the weekend. So as we go in every week, you need to be at it every single day, or there's a chance that you're not going to be playing because there's 2, 3, 4 guys in your same position that are waiting to start. So the squad's really good. I think everyone's enjoying it, and obviously it's still early in the season, so I don't think we can talk about where we're going to finish. There's still a hell of a lot of games left to play, but I think everyone's just enjoying the moment we're in the now and winning.
What you do have, though, is, and don't worry, I'm not expecting you for 1 second to come on and say we're going to win the league, we're going to have a go at winning the league.
It'd be good if you did, though.
But you'd love him to.
He could do it if he wants. No, but I think when you look at the league table, you're in a wonderful position. But also, forget Celtic behind you. You've got a real big cushion now over some of the other so-called challengers for getting close up to the... Well,
who are we talking about here?
I think only time will tell. But what I would say is,
Motherwell look good.
11 points ahead of Rangers and Hibs. Is that right? I believe as well. But even you think the cushion over Aberdeen, the teams that would have been around you challenging for the European places in recent years. I mean, you've got a fantastic, platform to build from now, Craig.
Yeah, the start of the season has been brilliant. I think it's probably, if you'd asked anyone at the start of the season, we would bite your hand off for the position that we're in just now. But I think in general, the league this year is really tight. I think you've seen there's been a lot of draws. I think there's been a lot of, well, you would have said at the start of the season surprise results, but they're maybe not surprise results now. I think the standard's really good. Obviously, where we are in the league table just now, and like you said, talking about the teams that have finished maybe in the top 6 places the last few years, it's kind of a wee bit all over the place. But I think for us, it's just about going into each game it is and trying to pick up 3 points. I think at the start of the season before Christmas, you've always got a few blocks of 3, 4, 5 games, and then you've got a break, another block of 3 or 4, 5 games. So we've kind of been split into that and trying to pick up a certain amount of points in each break, and then you get the break, you reset, and then you go again. So I think that's where we're in.
Craig, I was just going to say, has anything been spoken about, obviously, the start to the campaign that Aberdeen had last year and the drop-off that obviously happened? Has anything been spoken about amongst the players? Has the manager mentioned that at all? Just obviously as a bit of a sort of start warning to, what could happen or what can happen.
Yeah, I think after when you start the season well, maybe not like the manager's directly not told us, but if you're talking about a lunch and when you're sitting at breakfast with the boys and you talk about how well we've started and you say like Aberdeen did this last year and then you see what happened to them. So it's not as if you've just earned the right to be up at the top of the league because you're winning games just now, that it's just going to continue for the rest of the season. We all know how hard the work we're going to need to put in to do that. But again, I don't think anyone in the building's looking too far into the future rather than the next game or the next few games. It's just about trying to pick up as many wins as you can as early as you can and see where it takes you.
Just final one then, if that's okay for me, and the boys can tell you if they've got any more before I let you run and enjoy your night. But I think there's still potentially so much more to come. You've got a January transfer window around the corner, and I'm sure Tony Bloom's watching on, and if you can stay up there, maybe he'll invest again, something we spoke to the manager about a couple of weeks ago. But a lot of the new signings as well, Craig, haven't featured that much. So if there is quality there in reserve, you would think, watching on, that there is more to come from this team. Would you agree with that? Yeah,
definitely. I think obviously everyone talks about the new signs and they talk about Braga, and because I did this because they've played the most minutes, but all of the boys that have come in have shown that they've got real quality. I think it's hard, obviously, when the team's doing so well now, there's not going to be loads of changes and everyone's going to be getting loads of minutes. But they're showing every week that they've definitely got the quality to come in and play. And I think what massively helps about the boys that have come in through the Jamestown analytics and the signings, that they've all fit seamlessly into the squad. They all speak great English. They've been great boys about the place. They're really easy to get along with, and obviously that helps when you've got that good bond with your teammates and everything's brilliant off the pitch. It kind of translates onto the pitch. So the squad's looking good. The new signings have come in and done brilliant, and even the boys that have been here for a while, they've kind of stepped up again and put in some good performances.
Craig,
one more each, guys, and then we'll let them go.
I was just saying, so see when the squad's in such a good mood, you've got the qualities there and everybody's pushing each other, you've got the momentum. It's just a right good mix to then push yourselves forward after the international break and the games to come up. You seem in just a really good place at this moment in time, like everyone together.
Yeah, well, like I said, obviously talking about we do have a good mix of the squads of the boys that have, or the Scottish boys or the British boys that have played in the league for a few years now, to then the new signings that have come in that have never been in Scotland before. I think it helps when you've got likes of myself and Cammy and Craig Gordon that have been at Hearts for a long time, can for example, the fixture at the weekend to kind of tell these boys what it's like, what it's going to be like before the game starts, and what to expect. So things like that help. And also just having like a core group of boys that know this league, because I think you agree, Scottish football is so different to any other football in the world. And I think a few of the boys noticed that when they came in, and obviously they're enjoying it now, they're getting used to it. And I think talking about the other new signings that maybe haven't featured as much, they're starting to kind of see it, watching it from the side, and when they're starting to take part, they realise how different it is, and they're only just going to get better. So this wasn't a great place, and everyone hopes we can just keep it going.
I just wanted to pick up on that point in regards to, you've been at the club for such a long time. You'll have seen windows where perhaps there's, a different profile of players. This squad now, we speak a lot about the fact, the importance of like the Scottish spine to the team and getting the balance right. Is it quite apparent to you that the guys that have come in, they're just feeding into the culture and the atmosphere that you guys have already started, that they're buying into that? There's not too many that have got their own little sub-culture. They're buying into what you guys have already got in place.
No, definitely. I'm just laughing there because Claudio's been fined quite a few times, and he's kind of struggling to kind of grasp that's a big thing over in Scotland here, that you can get fined for anything. So things like that help about the squad. It creates a bit of banter. All the boys have a good laugh, and like you said, having that.
What's he getting fined for?
Everything. He's quite busy on social media. I'll say, right at the first few weeks, he was reposting some things that newspapers were putting up and stuff like that, and that's just a no-go. Because everything's going well just now, and he's getting loads of messages of love and all that, and just try to say to him, it can turn really quickly. So I just want to prepare you in case the messages start going the other way.
You have to learn fast, don't you?
You do, aye. But no, it's been good. All the boys have put in it. Like you said, we've got a core group of Scottish players, British players that have played in this league before and know what it's all about. So for the new guys to come in and learn off of us and just ask questions, really, they've all been great. Like I said, they're all great lads. They're all really enthusiastic. They're all wanting to know everything about the club or about the league and stuff like that. And like I said, it's helped massively on the pitch.
Brilliant. Craig, first class. Listen, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. Great to see you. And I'm sure you can go and revel in that goal a few more times tonight. So thank you so much, and well done at the weekend.
Thanks very much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Well done.
All the best, Craig. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
brilliant stuff. I mean, the Jambos fans would absolutely have loved that. Listen, we won't bother getting into Hibs. We've discussed Hibs a lot on this show, haven't we? So there'll be better days ahead. And as you already said, Michael, they need to start turning some of these performances into more points. But just one final one, just on Craig. I'll ask you, Michael. I mean, if he does keep on performing the way he is right now, and he stays fit, yes, surely when you look at that Scotland national team and the central defenders that are in there, he cannot be far away, can he?
Not at all. He's right in the mix. A fit Craig Halkett is such, well, we've seen it already this season for Hearts. It's such an asset. He's a good defender. He's comfortable on the ball, reads the game well. He's dangerous in both boxes. He ticks a lot of boxes for, what you want from a centre-half. So if he continues the form he's in, and that's the key here for Craig, is just to maintain the fitness, because he's had a nightmare couple of years. Yeah. All stemming really from that knee injury. Because the big thing with Craig Halkett was, even in that period, it was a case of needing 2 or 3 games to get up to speed. And unfortunately, every time you felt like he was up to speed, he broke down again. And it's so good to see him now looking fit as a fiddle and looking like he's able to, handle playing all the games that he's playing.
And so happy.
Well, of course.
He genuinely looks happy.
It's like when you're fit and you're playing, of course, that makes a huge difference.
It also just shows, when you're willing to put in that extra bit of time, when you've been in a low place and you change enough about your life. I know that you can somehow find a way back, and obviously he's done that in the football pitch. But anyway, long may it continue for Craig Halkett. It was great that he came on the show tonight. We must move forward onto the Sunday games. Let's start with the Dons then. Desperate for goals, desperate for points, and they've scored 4 against Dundee, who didn't look in great shape in the game. But Alan, just on the Dons, this was more.
Thank goodness.
For Carlson, didn't we? Was going to be a good signing, and he just shone throughout the game.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I mean, there was one ball over the top, and he's just brought it down, and this is it. I mean, over his shoulder, it's so difficult to do. Timing was brilliant there. It's so difficult to do. Look, it was 4. It could have been 8. I mean, to be quite honest with you, they were desperate for a game like this where it starts to click, comes together. Michael obviously done the Shakhtar game.
Yeah.
I only seen the little highlights from it, but it looked like there was a little bit of confidence. They've got over the line with a couple of goals, and then same thing here. They managed to score 4, but Carlson's a big plus for them. I mean, what he gives you going forward, he's so clever, intelligent, he's got pace. He's really going to be effective, I think, for them this season. But it was just really important to get a victory. I mean, get another 3 points on the board, score goals.
Great ball from Armstrong.
Yeah, it was brilliant. But Dundee, man, they looked all over the place. They genuinely looked like they didn't really know what was happening, whether it be defending, attacking, disjointed. I mean, just little things like that. They look a little bit all over the place. And I do worry for them at this moment in time.
Yeah, we had just said as well, recently they were starting to look a bit more solid and hard to beat, but obviously not then. And Michael, you were at the game against Shakhtar. I mean, I guess the seeds were sown, if you like, in some ways for a win that was just going to be round the corner. When you start scoring goals, when you're competing the way they have competed in recent matches, you know good times will come. And there's a lot of talent in that squad.
Well, yes. I was going to say, you don't know that good times are going to come because you're hoping that you get a result that can really kickstart things. But I get your point, and it is fair enough that they performed a lot better at Fir Park without being, brilliant, but there was a real endeavour there. Sucker punch at the end of the game, of course. Then the Shakhtar game, it's been tentative steps, is what I would say. And then on Sunday, yesterday, it was probably exactly what they needed. It was almost just blowing the cobwebs away. The performance was there. The goals were there. A clean sheet as well. This needs to be now, the catalyst to go on and pick up more and more points, because we need it as Scottish football as well, Aberdeen, to be picking up points in Europe. Shakhtar was always going to be a very tough game. Always going to be a tough game. But we need them to be competitive. And if they perform to their capabilities with the squad they've got, they can be competitive because they've got a cracking squad there. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. And guys that can score goals quite clearly. It's amazing it wasn't happening earlier, but new signings clearly getting bedded in as well. Look, I think an international break for Aberdeen, it's a club we're going to be watching the headlines. Michael, I mean, you and me have spoken about this week, haven't we? Yep. But Lutz Pfannenstiel, I've got this from a very good source tonight. Not the pronunciation, by the way, but a very good source. Look, I think it's been in the press that he spent time with Dave Cormack the last few days. I know for a fact that they've spent a lot of time together. There's a story out tonight. There's a 3-man shortlist. What I definitely know, and I can tell the Dons fans, is that he is, by a distance at the moment, the leading candidate. There is interest in Lutz from Germany. That's also been in the press. Gladbach are talking to him, but apparently he's the type of guy who really likes a challenge, and he's been interested in Aberdeen. Any of the Dons fans watching, they'll think, well, how much does he know about the club? He's been interested in Aberdeen now through a good friend of ours, Derek Ray, for the last 2 seasons plus, and he's watched a lot of Aberdeen games. He was at the Eintracht Frankfurt game, the good win a couple of seasons back. He was in the crowd that day as well, watching on, and I think the talks so far between the teams have gone really, really well. And it looks like, and by the way, Derek Ray was the man who introduced Lutz to Aberdeen and introduced the idea of Lutz going to Aberdeen to the Dons, to the board as well. So he's played a big role in this too. But he sounds like somebody that wouldn't just be happy to sit in the background either, the way he's operated at previous clubs, that he'd want to really influence everything at the football club. Michael, from the Aberdeen fans, you never know how it's going to turn out, but that's a good bit of info coming there. That would be quite exciting to some of those fans. That is a big appointment. I'm not just talking about, Lutz necessarily, but I'm saying getting the right director of football is crucial to the way they move forward, isn't it?
Yeah. First of all, just talking about the appointment, general point is that it's a very important one. Of course it is, because I think that there has been a huge investment in the squad. I do think that Aberdeen, as an overall squad, balance, I think they need to get a little bit more of a local identity in there. But somebody like Lutz, who has got a big pedigree, I do believe he was externally connected with the advisory company that did the
correct. Yep, the appointment
deep
of the
dive
manager
into Aberdeen and proposed, Jimmy Tillene as one of the candidates as well. So, as you mentioned there, it gives you an insight into him being loosely connected in the background for a wee while. So he's got a good idea. He's not coming into Aberdeen, if he does come, cold. He's got a real deep understanding of what's going on there, which is important. So, yes, it's a big appointment. And two, on the face of it, you would think somebody that has got a pedigree like him, Mönchengladbach looking at, trying to bring him in as well, gives you an idea that there is, there is scope for this guy to potentially be doing a good job for Aberdeen. The one concern I would have is obviously bringing in somebody like that in such a key position is how long would you realistically be holding on to that individual, that guy?
Well, listen, in some ways, if it helps the structure of the football club, it helps, build that platform we've talked about at Hearts already, put them into a better place, even if he only comes and stays for a couple of years. It would be a great sign if he's being recruited back by teams in Germany. He's got great contacts in Germany. He's worked in the MLS as well. There's some talent over there. So let's watch this space. We'll see what happens, but it looks like there's a real possibility that move could happen in the coming weeks. Onwards, Al, because we can go over an hour tonight, I'm reliably told, but Michael's dinner starts just after 7.
I'm not sure about that.
Strictly speaking, we better not. On to Celtic Motherwell. What a game it was, Alan. What a performance by Motherwell too, but Celtic found a way with a helping hand from Ward in goal at a massive moment in the game. But should we just credit the Steelmen again, first of all, for the way they've gone to Celtic Park, set up again, so brave, and they probably deserved a bit more, didn't they?
Yeah, well, Jens Bertolaski, we know how he wants to play, and he's shown that from the start of the season. I think this is the first loss that they've had since he'd taken charge. So it just shows you the direction they're moving in. I love watching them play. I mean, I think they do it the right way. The only thing for me is like your decision making. I'm all for playing, and especially when you can do it to that level. Like, I totally understand why he wants to go down that route. But it's just decision making. At that moment in time, I just don't think there's any real need. That's a handball for me. Arms out from his body. I just don't feel at that moment in time there's any real need to take that sort of risk. Yes, you're asking your players to be brave in those sort of situations, but there's being brave and just being silly. So just understand when to clear your lines. But overall, I think at 2-1 when they're up in the game, they deserve to be there just by the way that they've went and attacked the game and how they've played. But Celtic, they've not been at their scintillating best all season, but you still know they're a good team and they still find a way. And they got over the line by hook or by crook, but I thought Motherwell were real value for money.
Yeah, they were. Look, Celtic, what do you make of the way they're sort of performing at the moment? The European game, I know the handball, which was absolutely ridiculous call in European football during the week. I mean, we give our officials a hard time. That was absurd, such a key moment in the game. Maybe it turns the game, but I watched that game closely. It didn't feel like the Celtic of Europe that we saw last season, even close to it, Michael. So why are they sort of under par right now? What's wrong?
Well, I think there's a multitude of reasons, and it all really stems back to the summer transfer window. And Hutz will tell you that, when you're in a changing room and you know that you're needing strengthened, and you're always needing to add fresh blood, and you've got some of your bigger players have also been moving on, and they're not replaced, that creates a general negativity anyway, even on a subconscious level. Then you've got the civil war, and let's be honest, there was a bit of a civil war going on between some.
It might still be going on.
Yeah, exactly, and the manager, and there's statements going back and forward. It's all sort of veiled comments. These things have clearly had an impact on the team as a whole and the atmosphere and the synergy. The manager spoke a lot about that before, about everybody needing to, work in the same direction and have that synergy. It's not there off the park, and it's affected on the park. You look at the team as a whole. Schmeichel's looking a year older. He is. He's coming.
It's a bit of a worry, isn't it? Some of the goals conceded recently.
Well, yeah, and I'm just meaning, when you look at the team as a whole, he looks that year older. Alistair Johnson's out injured. Carter Vickers, okay. I wouldn't say there's any concern there. No. Liam Scales, you're still thinking, is that a position they need to strengthen? Kieran
they
Tierney
did.
Well, yeah, I know, but my point is the team you look at the moment,
Yes.
Kieran Tierney is still working his way back in. Cal McGregor's looking like he needs a little bit of help in the middle of the park. Hatate looks like he's edges out his game. Nygren's a very good signing, but I wouldn't say he's an intense player. He's a quality player, but he's not got real intensity. Then you come to the front line, and the front line has been the major issue. But I've just spoken about from the back up to the middle, that the edge has gone off of things slightly. So the players that are already there, they look like they were needing a fresh injection of, new blood to get them going again. And it's not really happened. And then the front line has been decimated. Ian Atchell looks like he'll be a good signing, but he's still not fully fit. And he really is their only option. I know Maeda can go through there, but he's not a number 9 per se. So you've got Ian Atchell.
He was brilliant there at times last season. I think people forget that. But that could be a big moment for Maeda. That winning goal late on, Michael.
It's a good
Sometimes
header.
it just takes that to turn a season.
It can do. And I think, everybody would be you look at Maeda before and you think there's no major concern. Even when those stories came out, you thought he's the sort of player that will perform. He's not really done it up until this point. And you're right. You would think that perhaps that finish could be the thing that ignites, his performances. And very much in the same vein as what I was talking about with Aberdeen, we need Celtic to be getting up to speed and performing in Europe because, when you look at Red Star, away from home, okay, result not too bad. But to lose 2-0 at home to Braga, that's a terrible result because Braga were all right. They weren't brilliant. Celtic at home should have been
flat. It was really flat.
Alan, you watched the game. I think, do they need to find the right balance in midfield? Michael's just mentioned McGregor need a bit of help. Bernardo was there. What's the best mix in there at the moment, Al, for you?
I mean, when Hatate's playing at the level that we know he can, when McGregor's playing at the level he can, plus one other who can reach the levels. I mean, they're not bad players. They're very, very good players. So if you can get them playing to their best, then it's a really strong midfield. Bernardo came into the team midweek, and I thought it was a little bit of a strange one. Even listening to Brendan Rodgers speak about how he knew the team, he knew the players, it's from his home country. I didn't really get that. And then you look at Horta's first goal, the closing down, that's where you're talking about having that energy, that desire to go and close 35 yards out he scored for. And by the way, when the ball's travelling towards the goal, and I know Schmeichel should do better, Bernardo's still not close to him.
No.
Right, so it's just little things like that need to improve.
I know. A lot of money's been spent in there. Bernardo as well. And you think Engels, who came on at the weekend again. McCowan's been good when he's played. But
imagine
anyway.
how they felt. Like, so Bernardo came in for his second start of the season, right? And the other two have been sitting there. They've been coming on as subs. They've been playing the odd game. They must have been saying, well, how am I not getting a shout for this game?
Yeah.
Because I only think from a player's point of view, I would have been raging.
Right, Al, we've saved this for the end of the programme. Right. Jamie, the producer in the background, feel free just to throw the highlights in of the Falkirk Rangers game. By the way, Falkirk played some really good stuff in the match, and we should praise them as well. It's a good point for them. Maybe they'll feel they could have got even more out of this. But on Rangers, it's the big talking point of the night. Alan, didn't look good, did it, when the managers having to be escorted out the stadium and the fans obviously were blocking in the bus. And I've had a lot's been said about those fans. And I get it.
Smuggled out.
Correct. And I know a lot been said about the fans, but the fans have been desperately trying to get the board to listen. So look, it was extreme measures, but in the end, you could say to an extent it's helped contribute maybe to the decision. But anyway, regardless of all this, how on earth? Go on, Michael.
On a funny note, did anybody see the video of the fans sitting down to block the bus, and it just drove off in the other direction?
I didn't. I have to say I did not see that.
That was quite funny.
Alan, I think the most important question is here, right? Because the manager's gone, and you've been calling for that for weeks. So has just about every single Rangers fan now for a number of weeks, all the comments we've seen in this show. How on earth did the guys who appointed Russell Martin allow this to rumble on to this point where they now are where they are in the league table, having lost twice in Europe? I mean, it could be a complete season lost now and a rebuilding job far greater than it could have been because of the people on the board who appointed him after, what was it, like 7 interviews, by the way, Al? How did it rumble on this long?
I have no idea. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I don't know why it lasted this long. through everything that's happened, did they think he was going to be able to turn it round? I mean, I never for 1 second thought that this could turn in the opposite direction. I think it was too far gone. I mean, one win out of 7. They've only scored 6 goals after the European nightmare and going out the Champions League. I mean, that was an embarrassing night for everybody involved. I mean, I thought there was an opportunity there to probably make the change. It didn't happen. So I don't know. Maybe when he was sitting down in an office with him, he sounded very good. He was.
Well, he must have. He must have
the way he came across,
interview after interview.
Exactly. He must have. But I think it was there for everybody to see that the writing was on the wall. I mean, he was walking around for the last couple of weeks as if he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And by the way, see, when you actually look at the team, and somebody threw out a comment saying that they looked uncoached. And I've been watching them for a number of weeks now, since the start of the season, well, a number of months now. And it was very difficult to see what he was trying to do. I think in certain games, there was moments where you could see people trying to get on the ball and play through the lines, but it was very little, very, very little. Defensively, I thought that they've been all over the place, giving away sloppy goals. The attacking third, there's no cohesion, there's no togetherness. It's give the ball to Gassama, can he do something? And that's really where it's been at. There's nothing for me to sit here and say, yeah, keep him in charge, because I think it will eventually turn. And all I was going to do tonight when we were talking about the game was say how good Falkirk were.
Yeah.
I think they did deserve to win the game.
Deservedly so, yeah.
And that's my opinion. Yes, Rangers had a couple of opportunities, but I think over the piece, Falkirk probably deserved to win that game. So I genuinely think that enough was enough after that. They'd seen that. They've decided to make the decision. I've no idea which way they're going to go or who they're going to try and bring in, but I was just wondering if he'd maybe known straight after the game, because unless he had a prior engagement that was already set to happen, I found it really strange that he went away, obviously in a car separately. Look, there could be something like personal or whatever that he had to go to quickly, so we don't know. It was
probably more about protection, to be honest with you. He was probably concerned that there might be some sort of, I don't know, altercation or something, or maybe just too much pressure. But anyway, in the end, it's done, Alan. It's done. So the same question I asked then, there'll be eyes now on Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart as well. But Thelwell in particular, right, he's brought in his son. And I know you were sitting next to Kenny McLean during the week, and Kenny knows a little bit about his son too, and, you know, whatever. That's Kenny's story to tell, I suppose. But he didn't have the most influential role at Norwich. I know
He didn't really know him. He didn't really know him.
He only got to know him, it sounds like, towards the end. And Kenny's been there for a long, long time. So just the way all this looks at the moment, there's going to be intense pressure on Kevin Thelwell moving forwards now. Do you think he can survive in his role?
But I just don't think it's a good look. I mean, everything that's going on at that club so far, the recruitment that's happened, I don't think they're good enough. I think a lot of the players have come up here thinking it was maybe going to be a little bit easier than what it is, and they've found out really quickly that it's very difficult. So for Kevin Thelwell to be under pressure and scrutiny to bring his 26-year-old son up, he's worked at some decent-sized clubs, but we don't really know if he's any good or capable of being in that kind of role at this moment in time. So I think fans looking at that I don't think they'll be happy. I think they'll be wondering what's going on. So, yeah, Patrick Stewart, I think, will be under the microscope. Kevin Thelwell will be under the microscope. And now so will his son, because ultimately it's not been good enough. You can go through all the transfer signings and you're not going to sit here and say that many of them out with Gassama are pulling up trees. So, of course, he'll be under pressure.
Yeah. And I think also, you know, now, do they try and appoint a manager who will appease the fans? Or do they go and get a manager that they really wanted, you know, I'm not saying the Russell Martin mould, but if that's the style of football, if that's the way they wanted to build a team around, do they go and try and get someone who can do that better? I think the pressure is on now. And I think from their point of view,
you have to get it right.
I do wonder now if they'll be so desperate to go and get someone like Steven Gerrard back, Alan, to try and win back some favour from the fans. And maybe that will shake their...
Darrell, see, the thing is with that, right? You go and get Gerrard back, and he was the one that won the league, brought the silverware back, and everybody was happy, and he'd done a great job. He had a much better team. That team of his would wipe the floor with this one, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Right, Alan, that's the difference.
Yeah, I'm not being disrespectful, but it would. He had a much better team, so even if he comes back in, he has to deal with the players that are there. Do I think he can get more of a tune out of them? Probably. He's definitely got that aura about him. So I think people will sit up and take notice. But ultimately, he's got that squad that he's going to have to use going forward. And the big question mark, is it good enough? You're 11 points off Hearts. You're 9 points off Celtic. Are they good enough to bridge that gap? I'm not sure.
He might, though, come in and make some good decisions. Go on, Michael. Michael, which direction do you think Rangers will turn now? Which manager? What would be a good fit?
In terms of personnel?
Yeah, I mean, which manager do you think? There's loads of names have been thrown out there. Who do you think they should go and try and get? And by the way, Derek McInnes has been mentioned. I can't see it. I can't see it now, given what's going on.
That would be some story. Imagine that.
No, I don't see it happening. I was just going to touch on the fact that, for Rangers, the biggest concern here is that, you've got rid of a manager in the shortest period ever. And by the way,
17 games.
He was hanging on. I mean, hanging on. It could have happened, in half the time, realistically. This then ultimately throws scrutiny on those that made the decisions. And we've already touched on it there, as you said. Kevin Thillet, where's the awareness? Where's the awareness to recognise that there is scrutiny on you right now and for you to bring your son in? Pure nepotism. It's like
Kevin Thelwell said, Michael, that Russell Martin was the best manager he'd ever worked with. And if you remember the statement at the club just a month ago that we mentioned, he almost said he was staking his whole reputation on this being a success. And that's why I asked the question, Michael, can he survive this?
Patrick Stewart came out and said that he was a culture architect. A culture architect. This is gobbledygook nonsense from people who are out their depth. We'll be perfectly honest. They're out their depth. They're at a massive club. They've come up from down south, and every one of those people in there are out their depth. They don't recognise what is needed to get Rangers on a steady footing to then try to build the foundations to grow. Going and spending 10 million quid on Chermiti as a striker is off the scales mental as well. What you've effectively done there is, right, when you look at Egeman, similar sort of price to what they've sold him for. And Egeman is not the finished product by any stretch of the imagination. But you've basically bought low on Egeman and sold high, and you've jumped over and bought
going to do the opposite
on Chermiti. And there is no way that Chermiti's value is going up. Egeman's value is going up. And if you look at those two players right now, and I asked anybody, who would you rather have, Chermiti or Egeman?
I know.
Who would you...
Listen,
Michael,
it's very clear.
Think about
very
it, though.
clear. And someone like Steven Gerrard, funnily enough, Alan, and I know very closely how he works. I was obviously working a lot around the game at the time, and I know Gary McAllister very well. I had a lot of insight into the way he operates at the football club. I think I did his first interview when he joined Rangers. He was quite clear. He controls the transfers. So I'm wondering, because I know tonight that there would be interest there,
Darrell,
right?
That's my point.
Hold on a sec, Michael. Let me just say, I know tonight.
I was going to say that when you start talking about, big names or big characters, they're going to have a slight concern with what's going on behind the scenes at Rangers. The incompetence is staggering there. Incompetent.
Yeah. And what I was going to say was, I know for a fact that Steven Gerrard is interested in returning to Rangers. I think the two questions are now, apparently it's complex, right? And we know there's some tax issues. I think there would be making sure the family would be happy with this as well, this situation, because he's had a massive change in his life where they're living at the moment and everything else. But he would be interested in a return. I know that for absolute sure. I do wonder, knowing what I've just said a minute ago there, Al, would Steven Gerrard be willing to walk back into the football club? Because he'd be excited by the ownership and the potential to spend maybe more money long term than he could first time round. And
I think he would need assurances.
Yes,
I think he would need assurances.
So. Would he be willing to come and work with the current people who are on the board? That's what I don't know, Al. What do you think? And Al, what do you think on that, first of all? Do you think it would be possible in the current guise of the board and the way it's set up?
Yeah, I think if he had assurances that moving forward that he would have a big part to play and say in transfers that come in and out, because unfortunately, I think when he goes in and sees that squad, which he'll be evaluating right now, if he's even thinking about it, he'll be saying there's going to need some drastic changes. I mean, we're talking about a squad that's got 14 new players, one out in loan and Cortez, which was a strange one, of course, I know. But I'm just, for him to look at that, and he'll be putting that against the squad that he had originally that went and won the league, and they're well short. well short of that. And I go back to what Craig Halkett said. He spoke about the core Scottish players within that team and how they made everybody understand what it is and what it means to play for Hearts moving forward, what it's going to be like. Rangers don't have that. They've brought in all these players and they don't understand. They can't deal with the pressure that's mounting on them, the intensity from the fans to go out and win week after week and bring silverware. Do I think the Gerrard thing can happen? Yes. I think he genuinely has a love for the club and everything that comes with it. But I think he would need assurances of how this is going to play out moving forward.
I've taken us over the hour mark, but this is the most important thing, okay? Because fans are already asking the questions, and there's a lot of names. Stephen Gerrard's up there in the betting, so is Kevin Muscat. Derek McInnes, I think, is about 10-1. A lot of people today have said, go and get Derek McInnes, find a way. Lots of other names mentioned. Sean Dyche, clearly a very easy link to be made as well, given Thelwell and the situation there at Everton. So of all of those names, or maybe there's one I've not mentioned, who do you want as your next Rangers manager?
Derek McInnes. I'm not allowed to say that. They should have got him at the start of the season.
But would you genuinely go after him again now? Remember, Rangers once tried to get Derek McInnes.
I don't think they will, because if they were to fail in getting him, I think that's a big problem. Because then where do you turn? But look, I think what Dale's done at every club, where he is at this moment in time, he's taken them hopefully somewhere special. He's building something for the future. So I can't see him coming out of there. So. But
he would be your pick, is that what you're saying? If you had the choice of any of those names or anyone else, you would go and get him?
I think he could go in there and turn that round. Obviously, the January transfer window and everything would have a big thing to say, but I believe in his character, what he wants from the players. I love how he talks, the way he speaks about football. I reckon he could go in there and ruffle some feathers and get people going. But I think Gerrard could do the same as well, but I just feel like McInnes, there was an opportunity that they could have got him at the start of the season, and things could have been a heck of a lot different, by the way, because I'm sure he would have had a big say in who comes to play for that football club. And he would have probably weeded out the ones that he didn't want and brought in the characters that would be needing to move that team forward. So, yeah, that would have been my choice at the start of the season.
And it would be your choice now, just to make that clear?
Yeah, I think he's got everything that Rangers need. He understands the club. He's played for the club. He knows what the expectations are like. I think he gets the best out of players. So he'll go in there and I think he'll get a tune out a lot of them quite quickly. But do I think it will happen? No, I don't. But in my ideal world, I think it'd be a great appointment.
But Michael, you're smiling in the background. I mean, do you think you know Derek well, but you also know Hearts, and you know what's going on at Hearts at the moment, and you know the potential that Hearts have right now. Do you think there's absolutely no chance? And do you also agree with Al that if Rangers tried to go and get Derek McInnes and it backfired, it got public and they didn't get their man, it would actually look so bad that there's absolutely no chance either on Derek's side of things or on an approach side of things?
I would be absolutely and utterly flabbergasted if Derek McInnes was to be the Rangers manager.
I would as well.
Because, you need to recognise and understand as well what's going on at Hearts. Derek's building something there. They have some serious backup. Tony Bloom, can you just imagine if Rangers were in the ballpark and talking? It wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility. Tony Bloom just turns and go, Derek, what do you want? We're not letting you go. What do you want? So, I'm sure Derek would be quite happy for this conversation to be going on because it strengthens his position even more. But many, often say in football, nothing would surprise me, but that would surprise me. Rangers, as we've already spoken about, owners are in, they want to make an impact, but they're still a bomb scare behind the scenes, and that for proper managers would be a serious concern. Derek's in at Hearts. He's getting things the way that he wants. He's ironing out, the system in terms of identifying, but he's getting to know all this. And it's looking like, it's working quite nicely. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if he was to end up at Ibrox, to be perfectly honest.
I would agree. I would completely agree with everything you've said, and know Derek as well. I can't see him walking away. Given, look at the scenes at the end of the weekend. To do that now, I think would be just an astonishing move, actually, and I just can't see it. So, and my honest opinion is, from what I know as well, I'm fairly sure the current board will try and go and get Stephen Gerrard, and I think they will be desperate to get the fans back on side. And I think that's
you need to go and do it now. Like, you need to do it now. Don't wait.
Look, if they want to go and get Steven Gerrard, I'm told it's a bit complex. So it might not happen in the next 2 or 3 days. Who knows? Listen, things can change. Things can change quickly, but they'd have to make it very clear to Stephen that they want him now, and we'll see what happens. But I think that's what they'll try and do, because the fact they've lost the fans, and I think they'll try and desperately get some of them back by bringing in someone that they would be happy about. So let's see what happens. The schedulers are going to absolutely kill me. And Michael's got a dinner to go to, Al. And you've probably got a dinner on the table. Okay, is that James Bond?
He wishes he was James Bond.
There have been many people who've mentioned this tonight. A few people, but they have been saying, why are you not mentioning Stephen Robinson in the Rangers mix? But anyway, who knows? But James Bond has been mentioned several times. Most people have said very poor man's James Bond, by the way, Michael. And what they don't know, Al, is that he's got one of those wee clip-on bow ties in the background.
That's just for show. That's just for show. Doesn't even know how to tie it.
He doesn't. He would have tied it by now. Been on for an hour and 5 minutes if there's any chance. Anyway, look, I don't know how we're getting this in the schedule. It might have to go into one of those 15 slots. I know. So that's why I'm going to sign off in a second. I just want to tell you that this weekend, coming on Premier Sports, another game from the KDM Evolution Trophy. This might be interesting, by the way, Al, for you. Dumbarton against Rangers B. Might be a few Rangers B players that should be moving into the A team right now. So that's one to watch Saturday, 3 p.m. Then after the international break, by the way, Killie v Hearts. So that's most likely Derek McInnes come back to his former club, you would assume, Michael, which is live in Premier Sports. That's Saturday the 18th. Sunday 26th, what a brilliant game Aberdeen Hibs is in the schedule. And also the Premier Sports Cup semi-finals are ahead as well. Saturday, 1st of November, Motherwell St Mirren, looking forward to that game. And then Celtic Rangers the next day as well. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. A thanks again to our sponsors, SBK. I'd say we're out of time, but we did that about 7 minutes ago. Al, Michael, thank you very much. We'll see you all in 2 weeks after the international break. Bye for now.